At home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Sorry. That moment of silence was just for you to reflect on the news of the day. That's what I want you to do. I want everyone to just reflect on the news of the freaking day. Dwayne Kennedy joins me in studio, and I'm very happy for that because I just walked in and told him I don't know if I can do this for 4 years.
Oh man,
I can't.
And it's going to, this 4 years is going to seem like 20 years.
I feel like it all happened. We're invading Denmark to get Greenland, and then we're gonna. Does he think that like the Panama Canal is a water feature he can just go pick up at Lowe's? Like, what is happening?
And,
he's like one of the seagulls in Finding Nemo. Mine. What the frickin' frack is? I can't.
And don't forget about trying to acquire Canada.
Yeah. I can't.
What a lunatic.
I don't. And then, you and I have talked before about how being a greedy billionaire, to be a billionaire, you don't make a billion. We've been seeing a lot of this. You take a billion in wages, in, jimmying the game. Something. My brain is fried today. I just saw you yesterday, and I didn't feel like this.
I know. Yeah, a lot has happened. Well, it's getting closer and closer to, day zero.
I know. And I kind of feel bad that I decided to go to New Orleans and be drunk and high for 4 days.
Oh, you are?
I think I'm going to. I don't.
Be careful down there, man.
I have a friend I'm staying with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she actually lives in the French Quarter.
Oh, is that the end of the month?
That's. I'll be there for Inauguration Day. I don't know if I'll be drunk and high. But it'll be one or the other. I might alternate and see. I might need to. I don't know. I want to know how folks are. How I'm.
I don't know. I think a lot of the people are going to be in for quite a surprise, a rude awakening, whatever you want to call it. Those people that voted this cat into office over time are going to realize, as some have started to realize, hey, I think we got played.
Our friend Ben Cominos, who's coming on at 6 o'clock, he is a host up in Appleton, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And he and I did a show earlier this morning, and he was saying that he's having folks realize things that they're starting to. I just don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they care, that they're going to understand, that it's going to sink. I don't know if it's going to sink in. They're still going to find liberals to blame. They're going to find the woke culture to. It's our. Everything will still be our fault.
You know what? I think probably, Patty. They'll probably I'm sure they'll rationalize it as long as they can until they can't anymore. Until it's so plainly obvious that is not what they thought it was. And at that point, I think, I don't want to say all will be lost, but things will be so critical at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm making folks nervous because if I snap, then what are they? They're like, you're keeping us sane.
Oh, really?
You're turning into the wrong girl.
Did somebody say, yeah-oh.
Dwayne will tell you, I'm pretty much hanging on by a thread.
Right. Man.
Every single time you turn to me.
Yeah.
This is going to be a lot. I mean, because I keep thinking... And I actually sent audio to. I spent some time last night trying to figure out, and I used it today, but it took me a long time last night to figure out, because Jerry Walski, our co-producer on the show, he said we have to address the things that he says, but I don't want to hear his voice. I don't want to hear his voice, right?
Yeah.
And people don't want to hear his voice, and it's because he's just so stupid. Right. I'm sorry, folks. I know that people are like, no, but he's brilliant. No, water comes from heaven. What are we doing?
See, like I told you, and at some point I'm going to have to start to re-engage just because he'll be whatever he'll be. But I didn't even know he said that. Yeah,
well, it was buried underneath. I'm going to use the military possibly to get Greenland and the Panama Canal, and he wants to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, to the Gulf of America.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't call it the Gulf of Trump.
Well,
and his followers would be like, well, because there are people who want him to be on Mount Rushmore, not understanding how a mountain works. It's not like you can cement that on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's It's bad now. It's bad.
This is just, what day is it? It's Tuesday, January 7th, everybody.
Yeah.
Just a little gut check there.
13 more days, man.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I remember thinking in 2016 that surely something will happen. It just seemed so surreal then, right? Mm-hmm. So because nothing happened even like I remember grasping at straws when Jill Stein was going for a recount, and who knew it was just a money grab for her again, right?
Right.
So, but I still thought, maybe there's you still kind of thought maybe there's a chance this can't be what's happening, and yet all over the country things are happening that make it even like Judge Eileen Cannon is blocking the release of Jack Smith's report. There's the Supreme Court of North Carolina. There was just an election, and the Republican majority just voted to pause. Like they want to wait and hear, because a Democrat won a seat on the Supreme Court there, but they're blocking her inauguration into the seat or swearing in. Yeah. Because nothing matters.
No, everybody's rolling over for this cat.
Yeah.
Look at what Mark Zuckerberg did. Now
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Because I was thinking about you and I, because we are just you and me, and we're just trying to get up the energy and the mental space of what we want to put on social media to market ourselves as comics. Because I've always been just myself, tell stories about my family, promote shows that I'm doing. I've never talked to the camera like as a comic, to do bits, or I don't put that much material out there. And I thought, well, now that we're just trying to get that going and be more, consistent about it,
right.
I don't want to be on Facebook. I mean, for folks who don't know, he just said they're going to change. They're not going to do fact check. They're not going to require fact checking. Right. It'll be the same parameters as Twitter.
Right. Basically, feel free, everybody, to disparage and denigrate anybody you feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not going to do anything about it.
Exactly.
Have at it.
Yeah.
The cesspool is open.
Somebody just typed, please don't give Trump any ideas of the Gulf of Trump. Did you see that? And then Bezos gave Melania $40 million for her life story. Yeah.
No.
Oh, this is all happening.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Too much today.
Yeah, they're all rolling over for this cat. Look about when ABC gave him $15 million. Yeah. For that suit against George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah.
Everybody's rolling over for this cat.
Yeah, because they're all afraid.
They're all afraid.
Well, but afraid of what? That's
what I don't get.
What are they afraid of?
And if you're the third richest man on the planet and you're afraid?
Yeah. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah. Then what? Right. What are we supposed to do? And what kind of a punk are you?
Yes. Yeah. Really, what are they afraid of?
Right.
What? Zuckerberg is already building a bunker in Hawaii, an underground town, essentially, in Hawaii, buying up all kinds of. Oh, have you seen this? Oh, it's it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. He's building a bunker in Hawaii
for
himself
and his family.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, with enough to supply food for years or whatever.
So basically, I'm going to facilitate and enable those who want to make the world worse, and I'm going to prepare for it. I'll be underground if you need me. Right. Yeah. Have at it, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Yeah. And
good luck.
Yeah, and I'm going to wait for everything to explode, and I'll be underground.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't want to. I feel like I'm going dark, but today every time I try to listen to something, I'm like, what? I was screaming a lot today. Yeah. Thankfully, I did not go into the office, because then that's just,
Are you just as engaged with the news now as you were before the election?
I stopped for a while. I have not been on Twitter in weeks. Right? Okay. I dip into Blue Sky. I follow Aaron Parnas, who has an interesting story, because his dad is one of the one of the people that was in on he's in
Les
jail.
Parnas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Aaron Parnas, his son Aaron Parnas, is a young man who's about, 25, 26 years old. Mm-hmm. This kid went to college at 14 years old, finished at 18, went to law school, graduated 21, was a law clerk for federal judges and stuff. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard the whole story of he was on the inside of a lot of things, and all of a sudden in the last few months has become he has a direct line to what breaking news. Mm-hmm. So he does breaking. I don't know if I want to tell people to watch it, because he doesn't put a spin on it, but he tells you the things that are coming. He was the first person I learned about Justin Trudeau stepping down as a party leader. I heard about that on Sunday evening. He's always got updated news about how the terrorist attack in New Orleans, the guy who did that was wearing Meta glasses since he made several trips trips to New Orleans and was doing bike routes, like where he was going to drive the car with Meta glasses, recording it. And so he had all that. And that's not to say that other outlets weren't doing it, but he only does like, a 1 minute clip of the most important news in that moment. And he does it pretty consistently. And so I follow him, so I'm not listening to anything that Trump says.
You're going to follow him until he comes up missing.
Right? Well, yes. Right? I mean, that's and so I was going to say that I've been trying to work on getting a filter for 45's voice, right? So we don't have to hear him talking and filter it through like a toddler voice, like a little kid's voice. And I got it to the point where it kind of worked. But then I had other things to do today and I couldn't send it. But it also meant that I had to hear him saying these things about co-opting, like basically just grabbing. I imagine he like played like, remember that game Risk that people play where you put like the map and like he decided someone gave him a board game and he decided that he wants Greenland. I mean,
Greenland, Canada. I mean, and is this something that he's just saying to be outrageous? Is he just trying to provoke? Or is he serious and not going to let it go and going to try to follow through on that?
Well, that's the problem, right? We don't, because everything he says manifests something, right?
Right. Anxiety at the least. Right?
Yes.
Because he's erratic and unstable.
Yeah. Yeah. It manifests that anxiety all the time.
Right.
It manifests violence.
Yes.
I heard, I don't know if I want to share this story. One of our listeners sent me a video of a woman a nurse who worked, oh my God, I'm so
I know
angry.
that story.
This is the most disgusting thing. But, and I,
in Virginia,
I have to assume only she was breaking the bones of babies in a NICU of only black babies.
Yeah. A white nurse was breaking the bone. And then somebody made a comment. They said that historically, what was it? The police have been the bastion of white men to exact violence upon black people, and nursing has been the bastion of white women to exact violence upon black people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And inside that, Joan has had several interviews with authors and historians and like medical historian. I know she talked to somebody about how there's an assumption that black women have this high, and we know about this
high pain threshold,
and not listening to black women, patients at all.
Right.
And then making assumptions, cultural assumptions that someone's just here for drug, all kinds of, like, it is like the systemic, we talk about systemic racism and how it is inextractable. I don't know if I use the right word because I'm so angry and frustrated. You can't. Inextricable,
yes.
Right? It's intertwined.
Yes.
With our entire society.
It permeates everything so deeply and thoroughly. And it's so pervasive that people either don't believe it, and then they don't want to hear it. White people,
right?
They really don't want to hear it. Generally, I'm not saying every single white person, but most white people, if you really trace back almost every policy and behavior, so much of it is linked to racism that they don't listen. They stop listening, and then they put it on you. No, that's not true. You see racism in everything. Yeah, that's because it's in everything.
Yeah, it is. And the people who say I don't see color, well, so you're dismissing an entire human being's existence, their experience, their lived, entire. I remember I was at a fundraiser, and this was I don't want to say who the electeds were, but there was an elected. Well, I was at a fundraiser with an alder person who says some very strident things, and there was a friend of mine who was telling him about being pulled over and at one point being on his face on the sidewalk.
A black person?
It was a Latino, Latino. Okay. And and the older person was just like, "Oh, I don't believe it. You're exaggerating."
There you go.
And this is an elected person dismissing the firsthand story, not like I heard or my friend or any of that.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No, it's just that. What is that? That cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, come on! You probably did something wrong. You probably did something.
Yeah.
What will you speak? What difference does it make?
Right.
Is my face down with the threat of possibly being shot?
Right.
The end result of blowing a stop sign?
Right. No more vivid. I mean, there's so many vivid examples. Like a person getting a 34-time convicted felon being elected president of the United States. That's the starter. But if there's a thing online that one time Kamau showed me this, and it says, when cops use the excuse or justification that we thought this person had a gun, we thought this, we thought that, this or that. There's a video. Anybody can go to it on YouTube. And there's this young white cat, goes into a police station. Now, he's a civilian. He wrestles with a cop. He grabs the cop's gun, and they continue to wrestle. Several cops jump the kid. Never once were shots exchanged ever, and he was arrested. He goes into a cop station, grabs the cops. He has the gun, and they never harm him. They wrestle him, but they don't shoot him. No more egregious and vivid an example of the disparity in how people are treated in this country than that, to me.
Well, and it's interesting because after the election, but even during the campaigning, there was this whole trend on TikTok, and it was basically like when you see a black creator, follow them, right? And even if, just to learn more about that person. So I have a lot of black TikTokers that I follow now. And there's a woman who does travel videos, and she talks about being in other countries, like Spain, she says, is one of the worst places for her to travel. Like she said that she went to a restaurant and no one would serve her.
You know what? I think I've seen that.
Yeah. And she does a great job on a lot of her videos. She'll tell you where, and there are a lot of creators who tell you where it's safe to travel in the United States. There's a woman who talks about the still having sundown towns in Illinois.
Patty,
Yes.
Berwyn was a sundown town. Cicero was a sundown town. Forget sundown towns. They had sundown neighborhoods in Chicago.
Yeah.
Bridgeport was a sundown neighborhood. Canaryville was a sundown neighborhood. You know what I mean? I don't know where they are now, and maybe they certainly diminished to some extent. But yeah, that still goes on. I one time I took Kamau's mom when she used to stay in Bloomington, Indiana, and we drove through Martinsville. They had this was like 8 years ago. At the time, they had an active Klan headquarters, a clanchise. That's what I call them. They had a clanchise in Martinsville, Indiana.
Yeah.
So, and they have one where in Michigan, I forget the name of the town, but it's a town where Trump spoke for his campaign. And he knew that. He knew that.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I was, as I mentioned, I follow most of my content creators that I'm following now are people of color. Mm-hmm. And there was one that broke my heart. It was this young man traveling back to see his parents in upstate New York, and he saw this really cute diner, and he sat in his car for a few minutes because it was close to closing time, and he was like, I hope they're nice to me. Mm-hmm. He was going in by himself. He knew it was going to be a predominantly white, and I can't even imagine. Like, I eat out by myself all the time. Right. Mm-hmm. Mostly, I don't want people to bother me, but I hope they'll be nice to me. He was so nervous to go in and sit at the counter by himself, and he didn't want to ask for a milkshake because he didn't want to bother them. Like, I thought, like,
yeah, I know.
I hope they're nice to me.
Yeah. A lot of black people, depending on where they go, sometimes if it's a place that they're not familiar with, one thing you do is you look to see if there are any other black people in there to know if it's sort of reasonable or, safe or at least that, that the staff is not unfamiliar with serving black people, Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a listener who is concerned because I talk too fast and I'm too loud. They don't realize that it comes to me, not to anybody else. I own the show too, so so I will take that note. I came in a little frantic and concerned about the news of the day, but I will find a different way to process my emotions.
Oh boy!
I like to think of myself as like having I use my voice as kind of like a jazz instrument. Sometimes I go real slow and just take it easy. Sometimes I'm just going to be really just riled up.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a sax solo. Yeah.
So there you go. So I appreciate the note 773. I've never heard that note before. It's really unique for me, so I appreciate it. Dwayne Kennedy joins me in studio. We are hanging out, taking your call. We'll take your call, 773-763-9278. And I will take a deep breath during the break so I don't disturb the 773s. I guess they're
Hey, you want to tone it down?
Yeah, I will. I will. Are you trying to take a nap? Do I need to soothe you? Do you want me
You're making it hard to watch Fox News. I can't hardly hear the TV.
The next thing they'll complain about is my giggling. I used to get that note a lot in the middle of the night at WGN.
Oh, really?
She laughs too much. From listeners.
Management?
No, from listeners. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh, man.
But thank you for your note. It is duly noted.
Oh, Shy-Town.
Dwayne is going to be performing in April. I want you to put it on your calendars because he'll be performing at the Den Theater April 25th and 26th with Kamau Bell. And we have other shows before then. Do you have any you want to promote?
Oh, I'll be in Kenosha this Friday and Saturday. Kenosha Comedy Club.
Tell Frank I said hello.
I will. Frank is a great guy. I talked to him today.
I love that room.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, 312 says we love all of your tones. Thank you.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. It's, it's just, I'm not for everybody. Just thank you. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal. At least I'm, not passive aggressive about it.
The Sports Cubicle.
It is our honor to be joined with Justine Siegel. She's the co-owner of the Women's Pro Baseball League.
I think the majority of our players will have been women who played with boys and men. A lot of them just have experience with baseball, the same experience that you have. They're just women. So they'll be bringing that with them for better or for worse, but that competitiveness and that desire to be there no matter what.
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Hey, gang, there's nothing more refreshing after a few hours of door knocking for my favorite progressive candidate than an ice-cold Biden beer or Tammy Shandy. You can now find all the tasty progressive beers of Minocqua Brewing Company throughout the Chicagoland area at wonderful partners like Lions Beverage Express in Schaumburg, Foremost Liquors and Displays, Eastside Cafe Coffee and Wine Bar in East Dundee, and Rayans Liquors on Clark in Chicago. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
You know, it's funny, Dwayne. I kind of had this sort of energy last week, and then someone emailed me that they were concerned about my mental health. I guess. Hey, it takes one to know one, I guess, or I don't know. I'm juggling a lot. I will tell you this. I haven't given folks an update on Declan, who, for folks who might not be familiar with my beautiful son, Declan, he was born medically fragile. And folks ask what that means. He was not able to breathe on his own when he was born. He had to be ventilated and put on life support. And as it took us a long time to find out what was the issue. And he's missing a part of his brain down the midline, which has led to a lot of intellectual and physical challenges. He's unable to speak. He didn't start walking till he was about 3, and then he walked for miles. I mean, like, I have so many videos, walking videos, you know, when we travel or going to museums, and it was his jam. And like during the pandemic, we were up to like 3 miles a day. I was actually, Steve and I were walking with Declan when the riot broke out on January 6th. I remember being out. It was a beautiful sunny day in Chicago, and so that was. And I remember he was at the point of almost like trying to like run, like he almost had the momentum. We were in front of a church over here on the northwest side, and he fell. Like he was so excited he tried to run and he fell, and like Steve had to run home and get the car, and I was piggybacking Declan a little bit. But that was how much like he loved to walk, and he was like trying out to run. I mean, and that was at like 15 years old. He was trying to run, and then one day in 2022 he woke up and just started limping. And then within 24 hours, his legs locked up and he was not able to straighten them and started crawling. And it took us, we were doing physical therapy. We were getting x-rays and all kinds of exams, and no one could find anything out. And finally, a specialist said, look, do me a favor, take him to the emergency room at Lurie's and let's run a whole bunch of tests. I'm worried about maybe clotting or something severe that we're not catching. And they couldn't find anything. We were at Lurie's for a whole week. And then they decided in the absence of having a diagnosis, they would try to just treat the symptoms, which is fair. And that's something else I'll write about one day. So we've tried for a long time with therapies and with the treatment they were giving him there, which was really just casting his legs, trying to get them to extend it. And he kept, even after he was discharged from the hospital, his legs started locking up again. They tried doing outpatient casting. And long story short, we have an incredible therapist who is really experimenting with a lot of things. We're using a stretch therapist at Stretch Labs, which is kind of a franchise. It's like the massage envies, but because one of the things I didn't realize, it didn't occur to me, is with kids like Declan, who have intellectual challenges and physical challenges, we don't think about making sure that they're flexible. Right? You just kind of figure this is the baseline. Like, he's never going to do yoga or touch his toes and that kind of stuff. He doesn't follow, he doesn't have language, retention or understanding. So at any rate, he had severe surgery. He had extensive surgery in 2018. And this walking issue is not a result of that, but he has 2 titanium rods from the base of his neck to his hips for extreme scoliosis. He had 172 curvature. So it was like, and there comes a risk of, going into your airways and other organs. So, we didn't really have a lot. There's also this dismissiveness, I think, with patients who are nonverbal. That's something I'm going to work on, too, is there's no liaison. Like, if he spoke Spanish, they would have a translator for him, right? But there isn't, like, somebody who works with families who have a nonverbal patient and doesn't have language retention or understanding. So I think that people kind of just, they figure because our healthcare system is profit-based and they weren't getting any results, and they were just kind of throwing, they were like, well, we think this is as good as we can do. That was basically what we got at one point. And so I was like, well, because he started losing extension in April for both legs when he kind of just had it for one for a while. And we've got him, the right leg is in good shape. And we have this great therapist who does stuff that engages Declan. And I'll share some of the videos before I stop using Facebook again. Yeah. But he's doing, they have a harness, and Declan, it makes him, sometimes now he knows that it's work. But the first time he did it, he looked like he kept trying to swing like he was Peter Pan. But it's that weightlessness, kind of giving him that, helping him build his confidence. So I wanted to give folks that update that Declan's, still working really hard, trying to get back on both his feet, and we don't give up. And we're finally trying to think about traveling, because we used to do more traveling, and it's just hard with the equipment that we have. Yeah. Leg braces and a walker and a wheelchair, and it's a lot.
Right.
So pardon me to 773. Sometimes I talk a little fast and loud. I got a lot going on in my life. and then this guy, he wants Canada to be a state.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All right. And Jill Evanston says, nope, we need more loud women. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I get that. I think that that's something that I've never been able to reconcile, is the impression that people have of that I ran into a kid from high school, and he was a football player, and he said he had thought about asking me out, but he didn't because I was too scary.
Too scary.
Yeah, I've had so many people tell me that I'm intimidating, and I don't feel like that on the inside, because I come from a place of wanting to help people, but if you cross me, it's really bad news. It's really, really bad news.
Did you see where, because yesterday you were talking about that you're going to get into jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes.
And that you're a person that takes action.
Yeah.
And now that they've reactivated since the woman that got burned on the train in New York, that the Guardian Angels has reactivated.
Yeah, I don't want to actively do it. Just if something spontaneously happens, I go. Because I think I was thinking about this after we did the show last night. When I was young, do you remember this? And I've been trying to work this into talking about it on stage. The idea that we were taught as women, as girls, if we're being sexually assaulted, that we should yell fire instead of rape.
Right, because more people will respond to fire.
Yeah, they don't want to get involved in a rape.
Right.
That's none of my business.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
But I think it's extended to just in general. If something's happening to somebody, people don't want to get involved.
No, even if it's a fire. Fire. That's all right.
Yeah, someone will get it.
It's probably something that needed to burn down.
Call 911.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got an app for that.
Yeah, right. Right.
We're hanging out in the studio with Dwayne Kennedy. We'll take your calls when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And the phone number is 773-763-9278. We'd love to hear from you, even if it's, whatever you want to say. More in a moment. I should find this button. It's right there.
Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are in studio with comedian Dwayne Kennedy. Again, put on your calendars April 25th and 26th. Follow him on Instagram so you can stay up to date on his shows and catch some of his clips.
Hey, I got to give a shout out.
Oh, okay.
My cousin Byron Buckley said he's listening.
Hey, Byron.
Down in Atlanta.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Which reminds me that, you can also catch us on the TuneIn app, on Spotify, and on YouTube. I don't know if I want to tell people to watch me on Facebook. I want you to watch, but I don't know.
You want to be seen and not seen.
Yeah, right. I don't want to be. Facebook that's going to be a tenuous relationship.
All
now.
right. So then what happens? Go to Blue Sky or something? Or?
I'm on Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky, folks. I've posted like 6 times in the last.
Yeah, I have a Twitter account, but I even before anything happened, I'm never active on there, not really. So I'll probably cancel. But I'm not on Blue Sky yet. It's so many things, man.
It is. I think I'm going to turn to Blue Sky, and YouTube will be my primary. I'll still scroll. I mostly want to see what the people who go thrift store shopping are doing. Mm-hmm. I follow a lot of thrift store shoppers.
Everybody's got a reason to be on one of those apps for something.
I know.
Connect with their family, sales, whatever.
Well, I like to watch people who go thrift store shopping to see how they style crap. No, some of it's really nice. I really have started thrift store shopping. It's been my therapy since the election, and I've had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
I spent like $20 and I'm super happy.
The very first time I ever went on television, did stand up on television on Showtime at the Apollo, and 80% of my outfit was from the thrift store.
Oh, really?
I had a gold sport coat that was from the thrift store and pants, and I think that was it.
Do you still thrift?
I have it in a minute.
Okay.
But I'm not against it.
Oh, no, I love it. I go to Unique. One of my favorites is up here. I was talking to them yesterday because they go, "Are you the comedian? Your mom shops here, and she told us that you shop here." And I'm there like every week.
Yeah.
Norwood Park Thrift across from the Norwood Senior Center, and all of the proceeds from that store goes to the Senior Center. And they have I have been hesitant to tell people where I shop because I don't want to take all the stuff, but they do a great job there. I may volunteer there. That might be what I do, so that I can see things before everybody else. Because I missed out on a beautiful mid-century modern desk that was for like $75, including the chair. It was gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
I even told them, I gave I don't know if it was Kathy or one of the women there, I gave them my business card. I said, if she doesn't come back for that, because it said sold on it, I was like, tell her that I'd be willing to make her an offer.
Yeah. Yeah, you could, obviously you get some great stuff. Or you run into those things where somebody bought a painting for $1, and then they went on Antique Roadshow.
Yep.
This painting is worth $17 million. What?
I know. I do. So now you can use your phone to take pictures of items in the store, and then use the AI lens, and it can tell you like a ballpark of how much it's worth.
Really?
Yup.
There's so much advancing, man, with technology.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Let me get to Jim in Chicago.
Jim!
Hey, Jim, how are you doing, my friend?
Hi, how are you? Good evening, Patty and Dwayne. I was thinking about Musk, who's a South African, who was happy with apartheid. He's got 4 or 5 other billionaires there that probably got their stake from stealing African diamonds and gold, whatever else they could steal. Look at Rhodesia. It's named after another thief from Britain, And when you consider Africa, all the things they've stolen from Africa, if you could get back their ancient artifacts that were stolen and put in museums around the world, you forget about Musk. You'd have more money than you could ever dream of.
Yep.
But I mean, these are really racist to the core of these people.
Yeah.
But one example, you had me thinking about it. One example, I was working covering pipes. I was about 20 years old, and I'm up on a roof, and I looked down. I was like up on a third floor roof. There's a guy on the second floor roof, a kid, and I didn't see him there in a week or something. And I just looked down, and he was using a ceiling torch. He didn't have a mask on. And I wasn't even that familiar with ceiling work. But I thought, this is too weird. So I jumped off the building I was on. I jumped out. I knocked it out of his hand. I looked at the kid. I could see his eyes were already affected. And I said, what is this? I said, what's going on here? So as God is my witness, the next morning I come to work and go, you respect your job here? This is how racist this gang of people were. You're going to let this kid burn his eyeballs out. He's only about 17. So, I mean, it's horrendous. But I was going to mention, to talk about two different people. Jimmy Carter, who, when he started this thing, he said he got a doctor who convinced him not only habitat, he goes, what about medicine for people around the world? And he got rid of guinea worm in Africa. He got rid of some waterborne in this. I mean, literally hundreds of millions of people saved little kids' eyesight and gave them a decent chance of living a normal life. And then you've got the Trump family who ran a charity. They got pinched for it. And the judge made those idiots go to reform school to find out how to become a charity person. These people are adults now. They're already loaded to the gills with money. Can you imagine a guy 40 years old having to go in, to learn how to be a charitable person? They had to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, what a difference between human beings.
I know.
But I mean, America is completely racist. There's no doubt about it. It's racist. You can really have immigrants. They hate immigrants. And they pick them off one at a time. But blacks were always, they were always behind the eight ball here.
Yep.
Look at baseball. All the great players in baseball, they never got a chance to play. Or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But the point is, we got a complete racist. And look what he said in the debate. Who would say you're eating cats and dogs?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Haitians on the CTA. My track record, but they were the greatest guys in the world. I would laugh all day with these guys. And these guys were poor Haitians that got a job on the CTA, and they were just hysterically funny. And the black track kids that I work with, they'd be the first one to tell me. A couple of guys were squealing at me in the office. Go, Jim, they're squealing at you. I'm like, oh, no kidding. You know what I mean? But I drank in a black bar all the time. But my point is, I had great friends there. Yeah. And I made a couple mistakes. I bet George Foreman against Ali for a couple of grand in this joint. I was drunk that night, and every time I went in there, I go, you owe me another $100, Scally. You know what I mean? I couldn't pay it off. It took me like 6 months to pay it off. And I bet that Simpson wouldn't get to 2,000 yards. But we had a great time. But like, for instance, the girlfriends I used to date in the 70s, they needed reefer. They always said, you got a dime bag, you got a reefer. So I go right to the bar, my guys. I said, you got a dime bag? Yeah, I got one. So I get it, but once in a while they wouldn't have it. I said, we got to go back to the neighborhood. So we go back to the west side with the guy in the car and the girl, and we go up and get the pot, and come back, give them right back to the bar. I mean, that was routine. But these people are complete racists. There's no doubt about it. This election, Kamala Harris was the most brilliant candidate I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, the first woman who ever said health care is a human right. Now, to me, that says everything, because that's the truth. Without health care, without your health, what the hell? Who cares if we got all the money in the world? If you only got 24 hours to live, what difference does it make?
Right.
But she was fabulous, and
And
I don't know why
and
these
more
people...
qualified than any of the other candidates that ran.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but her credentials were impeccable.
Yeah.
Her just everything about her was fabulous. But the freak out is Dwayne. Why did 15 million Democrats stay home? Were they that racist? The Democrats, they were that racist that they said, no, well, we can't vote for a black woman or what? I don't know. I'll never know that.
Yeah.
It's funny. After the Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson election, I have a friend who was campaigning for Paul Vallis, and he was so angry at people that didn't show up. He wanted to post addresses of the names and addresses of people who didn't show up to vote. And I'm not that angry or crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I would like to know what kept you sitting on your hands in this election.
Yeah.
But we'll really never know. The history will be written, while we're dead and gone. But it's just, but not only that, but think of the people he allowed to get in office, an absolute abomination of a person.
Yes.
An erectionist, a racist.
Yeah.
They're eating cats and dogs. I mean, who could say it?
A felon.
Yep.
Yeah.
An adjudicated sexual assaulter or accused fraudster.
Yeah. Dwayne, all of a sudden you're on stage and you're belt out. They're eating cats and dogs. They have a net over your head.
Right.
Or me or anybody else, But anyway.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, you two guys. Thank you very much.
Take care, Jim.
Let's take a break here. We're going to take all your calls when we come back. We're hanging out in the studio with comedian Dwayne Kennedy, and he's going to be at the Kenosha Comedy Club this weekend. It's a great comedy club. Showtime is at 8 o'clock. It's at the Wyndham Hotel right there on the harbor. You can go. You can drive up. They have such great restaurants.
Oh, man.
Go on Saturday. Make it a whole day. Go shopping. There's a great there's like a old train car that's like a breakfast joint that I went to a lot when I was campaigning for Kamala Harris. So, go shopping. Go check out the town.
They got a rehab clinic.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they still have it. I'm just saying.
All right.
Yeah. Go up there.
Visit some folks you might know.
Get rehabbed. Go to a comedy show.
There you go. There's some great spots to hang out in. And they got a trolley.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kenosha, Wisconsin has a trolley.
Oh, go up there, get trolleyed. Yeah.
All right. Let's take a break here and come back and continue our conversation on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
To Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home and take your calls. Joining me in studio is comedian Dwayne Kennedy. Again, he'll be at the Kenosha Comedy Club this weekend, Friday and Saturday, with showtimes at 8 at the Kenosha Comedy Club in the Wyndham Hotel right there at the harbor. On the phone right now, I'm trying to take an order of people who've been on hold the longest, and right now that's Cindy in Michigan. Hey, Cindy, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey, good. Hi, Dwayne. Hi, Patty.
Hey, Cindy.
Hi. So you were talking about Musk and Zuckerberg, and, even though they're rich, they've still got to have the underground bunker to hide from everything.
Yep.
And I was thinking that, what occurred to me was basically, even though they're rich, they're still nerds at heart.
Right.
They're just sniveling junior high boys.
Right.
Don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Right.
Those guys.
Don't stick me in the locker.
They're afraid Trump's going to give them like some kind of economic wedgie or a lawsuit wedgie or something like that. And so that's why they just hide for the hills. They're spineless. And, I think you've noticed this, Patty, and maybe you've said it, and I've heard Joan, I think, say it too, is we can't figure out why are they MAGA people and Trump so angry?
Yeah,
they won.
They
should be happy.
I've never seen such sore winners in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so what I figured out was they still want us as the other side, the people that have held on to our self-respect. They still want us to respect them, and they're angry because they can't get it.
No.
They're still angry. You don't respect us. You don't treat us with the respect that we deserve, blah, 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 blah. And I just noticed that. They just are resentful.
I think it's just like they say that everything a lot of things that Trump says is really an indictment on himself.
Yeah.
I think it's the same way with them. Is what it really is that it's a deeper self-loathing that cannot be quenched or satisfied. So it's initially I'm blaming you, and now when that's not the issue, I can't really stop and say it's me. I hate me, so I have to find something else about you.
Yeah.
Right. And what I notice is what with Trump, and he exemplifies the whole thing. He's got to have everything.
Yeah.
And he needs to take everything, grab everything. And there you are, standing there with your self-respect. Oh, I want that too.
Right.
I got to get that from you too. And that's why when he's getting that from Musk and all those, he gets that little satisfaction. I'm getting that. To get the Canadian Prime Minister to basically cave immediately.
Yeah. Now he rolled
and
over.
then just, it's like, how many of these can I go through? Now he's threatening and saying if they don't release those prisoners in the Middle East immediately, all hell was going to break loose. And I'm thinking, I thought you were the one who was going to make peace. Who was going to make all peaceful. And now you're threatening people that way too. And then when I heard about the Gulf of the United States, I don't know. I'm Native American, so it's only a matter of time. They're going to want the reservations, all of the trust land that's in trust, anything that belongs to anybody else.
Right.
So my thing for myself personally, to keep my mind from flipping, is I've got to hold on to my self-respect. That's what it comes down to. I try to every day, just like you take care of your son, Patty, that is a very respectful thing to do for yourself.
Yeah.
Not just for him, but for yourself. This is my job. This is important. Making sure that happens. For me, I don't have people in my life like that, but I have myself, my home, the things around me. I need to take better care of my health, my mental health, and I'm doing that. This is very important, and I do recommend that for other people. Sometimes I have to sort of shut down, but whenever I hear Dwayne on with Patty, I'm right there. That is a mental health, salve for me. It really is. Because if you are considered too much, Patty, you got your cool man next to you.
There you go.
So it's like you got it going together. Everybody's, you keep him moving, he slows you down a little bit. Everything's going. So, I'm looking at this thing too. The Melania $40 million movie or whatever it is that Amazon is doing.
Yep.
And I always want, if there is any kind of signs you can put out between elections that look like, signs in your yard, one would be Trump, bought and sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say. Trump, bought and sold.
Yeah.
And have just this most disgusting, that baby face thing that they did, the balloon that looked like a baby with a diaper. Just put that up there. It has to be a caricature. It can't be a face.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way to fight back is ridicule.
Yeah.
It's just constant ridicule. He can't stand it that people don't respect him. He can't. No. And he's going to flip. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I believe you're right,
Cindy. He's going to flip out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if they care.
Well,
we'll see
I love
if they care.
You guys.
Thank you so much, Cindy.
I love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I just that idea. I just flashed to where the soft porn pictures that she had and all the nudity and the contrast with constantly going after Michelle Obama's bare arms.
It's ridiculous.
And that she was distasteful and all. I mean, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they're just hypocrites. Just blatant hypocrites.
Yep.
And they just like I said, it's a self-loathing, and I think just deep-seated feelings of inadequacy, and then they project. And nothing is ever enough, because if you feel inadequate, nothing can ever be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Somebody posted that if only the dads in these men's lives had treated them better, shown them some love, or lifted them up, maybe we all wouldn't be in the situation.
The dad in Trump's life was a psychopath.
Right, and Elon Musk's dad and all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know what Zuckerberg's dad was like. All I know is he was trying to get laid in college, and that's how we ended up with Facebook. Let's go to Bobby in Indiana. Hey, Bobby, how are you doing?
Okay, I'm sorry to bother you tonight.
Oh, but, stop! You're not bothering us. We're glad to hear from you.
When you were saying that earlier about how everybody was ragging on you, I just had to call because all of that stuff is that's what you. That's how you drew me in, kid.
Thanks. Thank you, Bobby. I know. I pull people in. I push others away. It's a give and take. It's tug of war.
Yeah, you said, like you said, you're like a jazz instrument, and I said, yeah, you've got a perfect syncopation. You're like one of my old late 20s Ben Burney orchestra records. There, you got that. Banjo tempo going like a over fast metronome, I love it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I should read mean texts on the air more often.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Yeah, I mean these people don't appreciate fine art, and
I don't know if it's fine art, but that's very kind of you. It's generous, I would say. Thank you, Bobby.
I think you and your partner there tonight make one of my favorite teams.
Hey. I hear you. I appreciate that. I love working with Dwayne.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
it helps knowing him for 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't hurt, but
no.
Don't stop. Don't stop now.
All right. Thanks, Bobby. Have a lovely night. It was good to hear from you. Take care. And I've got two more callers. Let me see if I can let's get to Mike on the south side. Hey, Mike, you're on the air with me and Dwayne Kennedy. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, how are you guys doing? A great show. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I just wanted to tap into something. I think Jim was absolutely right in terms of the racism that played into how the election turned out. But I'm going to add this. A lot of the post-election analysis that I see done in the corporate media and primarily by, the white, correspondents who are discussing it, and nobody seems to want to focus on that. They want to look at every other reason. It was the economy and all the other things that came into play. And at the bottom line, in my opinion, and I don't know if you agree, but the end results was all about when it came to the border, is people of color were coming over. And so in rural Wisconsin, rural Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, that played a major role in those guys coming out and doing what they did. Because after the election, when they started talking about the economy, we saw that there were record spending after Thanksgiving, record spending during Christmas, record spending during New Year's.
Yeah.
So where did all of that, the cost of eggs, and where did all of that stuff go to?
Right.
At the bottom line, it was here. But I also want to add this. I don't think it was so much about that black-white dynamic that was playing out, even though Kamala has to be, she's a mixed race. But I think it was more about they were looking at people of color who were coming over the border, and that's where they had the issue. But you see the post-election analysis, nobody wants to talk about that. And I don't know the reason why.
I would also throw in misogyny, not wanting to have a woman president as part of that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I think that, and look, I haven't watched a lot of, I've stopped watching all of it. And I watch nothing on MSNBC or CNN, any of those, those panel conversations or anything. I listen to WCPT, and I think that some of us have talked a little bit about the racism, the misogyny. And yes, I would say, because I went door knocking a lot in Wisconsin, and I would say the immigration thing was top of mind for a lot of people. And I really was surprised by young women who were were absolutely unimpressed with the threat of an abortion ban and restrictions on contraceptions and things. I talked to a young woman who was in her 20s and said she wasn't even registered to vote. And I don't think that sense of urgency for a lot of people was there to really do the humane and empathetic thing for their families, for the people in their lives, the people in their communities, and other human beings in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Racism is a powerful thing. It really is, and it impacts people in ways that I don't think sometimes they even realize.
Right.
Until it's too late, because that's why they've been, against their own best interest. But time's going to tell. I believe this thing is going to implode. The Republican Party is still a mess, and now you've got the Senate and the House. Those two combined together, this is going to be something to sit back and watch and see, and it'll be historical, I think, in terms of how this thing just falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I concur.
We'll be here to cover it. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to hear from you, Mike. I look forward to hearing from you again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Let's take a break here. I want to thank our listeners. Please, if you can hang on. We've got one guest, and if you'd hang on for that, I would love to talk to Auntie Sherry. I hate keeping Auntie Sherry on hold. Maybe we'll bring her with Ben Cominos. And I want to thank Mark, who says, I'm watching you and Dwayne on YouTube right now, which is a great option. So glad you guys added it. So, yeah, we got to move away from Facebook, folks. That's just my feeling. Let's take a break here, and we'll come back in just a moment with Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBO? No. I lost the call letters. It's out of Appleton, Wisconsin. We'll talk to him in a moment.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal in Chicago. And I want to say hi to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Joining me in studio is comedian Dwayne Kennedy, who'll be performing in Kenosha, Wisconsin at the Kenosha Comedy Club in the Wyndham Hotel. And joining us on the line is the host of Outside the Box, Ben Cominos. Hey, Ben, it's like I just talked to you earlier today. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. What's going on, guys?
Well, I started out the show yelling because a lot's happened since I talked to you this morning. I didn't
tell me about it.
I didn't know we were invading Greenland and the Panama Canal and Canada, and we're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. It's a lot. I feel like so much like a week just happened since I talked to you this morning at 9.
I know. Tell me about it. I'm big. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of what the show's going to be about tomorrow. You can't ignore any of this stuff, but every time we talk about this nonsense, it has to be followed with, what are you doing about grocery prices? We can't let anybody forget that's what this campaign was about, and we're already on imperialism instead of inflation. So keep the eye on the prize here.
But as I mentioned to you on your show this morning, and I was talking to Dwayne and our listeners in the last hour, I don't like he has already said he can't do anything about the grocery prices, which was what we were trying to tell them, because part of it was price gouging. The other was supply chain issues. And once grocery stores, because I think the majority of grocery stores are owned by 4 companies in this country. So once they realized we would pay this price, they're like, well, why would we lower it? They paid it during the pandemic. They paid it during the supply chain. We'll just make a profit now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just highlighting he never had an answer. We all know the three of us were having this conversation 4 weeks ago-ish, shortly before the election, highlighting exactly this fact. We all knew it was headed here. Now it's just a matter of holding people to account. This Greenland stuff, this Panama Canal stuff, it is all just a distraction. And quite frankly, I'm disgusted by how many people that do what we do on the other side are immediately jumping on board. Yeah. After 3 years of anti-Ukraine war, which I have been frustrated with from the left as well. I totally understand some of the sentiments. And then to immediately jump ship to all this stuff is just infuriating to watch it happen. And I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to be mean, but I also might be mean when it happens tomorrow. But you just call it out, and you keep going from there. Yeah,
I mean they're lapping it up like thirsty dogs.
Mm-hmm. That sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's so hypocritical. Like, I really do intend to give the benefit of the doubt and hope people wake up to this. But you watch what the paid actors are doing, and more often than not, the people that listen typically fall in line. Hasn't been happening as frequently with like the H-1B that we were talking about earlier and a couple other things, but I don't like the way it's trending this time.
For folks who don't know what H-1B is, the immigration visas that now Elon Musk says, we have to have, because here's what he said. I don't know if you caught this, Dwayne. Elon Musk says that we have to have skilled workers come to the United States because it's too expensive to train Americans. So for all the people who didn't want immigrants coming into the country, the skilled ones, and also it's going to be also cheap labor because Americans we're too expensive and dumb is the implication as well. Right. To train, and we also demand too much because we have unions everywhere. I think that they're going to do everything they can to break unions.
Oh man, absolutely.
Don't you think, Ben?
Oh, I couldn't agree with what you're saying there more. And it highlights, I mean, up here in Wisconsin, we have the argument about education costs all the time. They refuse to fund the education process, whether it be funding public schools or making college affordable again. Then people graduate or go into blue-collar work and say, well, you're all too dumb to do the smart jobs. And then they hire people that aren't even they're doing associate engineering degrees. Not to say that that's not impressive. I'm not taking away from anyone who's an associate engineer. But it most certainly is not top 1% stuff. So they hit you on the education side, then they hit you on the you're not educated enough side, and then they just completely make up their own system anyway. And what's so frustrating to me is there's actual right-wing resentment about this, some of which I'm sure is coming from a place of racism for some of these people, but a lot of them are people that lost their jobs. And it seems like it's a field of people that you can jump on, specifically from the Democrat side. And I see this opportunity getting squandered. They'd rather lean into everybody's racist rather than, maybe some of these rich guys are taking advantage of this. Like that's the kind of missed opportunities you hate to see, especially after how November went.
Well, so with that, so I had a texter who had a bone to pick with me yesterday because I was talking about white dudes, and this, right, and he said, well, this is how Democrats, generalizing about us isn't going to be helpful. That's how you guys lost the race, essentially. If we and he said, like, he's not necessarily just picking on me, but he feels like Democrats are missing the opportunity, and it's so funny. I made the point yesterday, like, so now it's we have to also do the work of making white dudes feel safe and that we're not generalizing or demeaning them or dismissing them. And I made this example to Dwayne yesterday. I made a couple, but I remember being 12 years old. It was actually a car wash. I was volunteering at my grade school car wash. I was 12, and a neighbor, and I'll never forget this. His name was Raymond. He was like in his 50s and started talking about my ass when I was 12 years old. And that's where the first time I remember, that's where it started. And then I started being aware of how my body was being, I was sexually assaulted in a crowd at the Taste of Chicago. Somebody stuck their fingers in me. So please tell me how I need to make a safe space for people. I really, how much work do I have to do in the next couple decades ahead of me? In addition to all the work I've done for the last, I just want a ballpark of how much more work I got to do. I've done 40 years of, of making sure that if a guy says hi to me, I have to make that choice of am I nice back so they don't think I'm a bitch and then they attack me, or if I say hi back and they think I'm flirting with. I want to know how much work I got to do, Ben. Do you have a ballpark for people like me?
I wish, Patty. And the older I get, the further into this game I go, the more embarrassing it becomes from a lot of different perspectives. Because you watch the way. There's no tap dancing around it. As a white dude, I watch all this happen, and what's crazier, I wish I could bottle whatever happened to me in my late teens, because I can kind of see the path that so many of these guys go down. Like, I can see the decisions that would have led me to thinking a certain way in my youth, and the people and outcomes that ultimately led me down an entirely different path. And as someone who uses his words for a living, I don't think I can articulate what actually shook me. But it's almost not even a conscious decision. But the prevalence of what you're talking about is absolutely real. The question is, how do we as progressives approach it without seeming like we're alienating? It's like I've been trying to think of a new word for the word privilege, because you see these people that are roofers or carpenters that work 60 hours a week to break even, and they're hearing privilege. And there's a certain connotation to that word.
1,000%.
And I think that, because you're absolutely right with your experiences and the idea that we have to coddle to people that have had every role in their favor for their entire life and still made their own mistakes that they won't cop to and then blame other people for it or accost other people for it. It's ridiculous that you have to coddle these people, but it's still a large enough percentage of the voter base that at least some of them have to believe they're welcome in the group. I don't know what that new word looks like, but that's what has to be the discussion around liberal politics.
Oh, and here's the thing, and again, I've talked to laborers who say that they have, as you mentioned, co-workers or people in the unions who do feel like they're they didn't like they didn't like the trans issues. They don't want to hear about gender affirming care. They don't want to hear about DEI. And it's like, we we were the ones talking about either one of those issues. It's like, but we kept explaining it. We're trying to because we try to explain it so that they do appreciate why we are staking out that territory and trying to protect people. And it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I hear. Oh, go ahead.
No, I want to go back to something else you mentioned about, not wanting to. And we talked today about Wisconsin in particular. Obviously, that's where you live, and you mentioned paying for education and higher education, and also in Wisconsin, the Republican majority doesn't want to pay for child care. Now they have a surplus, Dwayne, in their state budget of over $4 billion.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they don't.
4.5.
Woo. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't want to pay for child care.
All paid for by not paying teachers and whatnot. A lot of that is as a result of Act 10. I would argue it really isn't a surplus as much as it is stolen wages of from government union employees. But at the end of the day, it's money we have to spend. So I don't want to pretend like it was just found, but it's definitely there.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've been following. I was telling Dwayne, I've been following some content creators online, talking about farther left stuff than I have been comfortable with in the past. The idea, because I didn't realize how much of a grip far right ideology had really taken a hold in so many parts of this country about the idea of femininity and the role of the mother, and in particular this manifesto from the guy who blew up the Tesla in Nevada. Right, he wrote this whole letter about how men need to be leaders, and we need to be more culture of masculinity, and we have to rid our government of all the Democrats and all. But he's not alone. He's reflecting something, don't you think, Ben?
That whole scenario, I don't know what to read out of that. I'll be honest, I didn't even look too much into the manifesto that he had written. I'm kind of listening to you describe it to me here for the first time. That whole situation, I don't know what words to put on it. I'm very confused by that entire scenario. I know that he blew up a Tesla and a Trump in front of a Trump hotel, and then he said it was in support of those two, which feels, not like the right way to send that message. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that guy was deeply distraught. I don't know what to read out of that guy whatsoever.
I guess what caught my attention were things that I've heard from other guys I've talked to who feel like that there isn't a space for masculinity. Right, that they and
masculinity in the way that they define it.
I guess, right?
That's perfect. That's the perfect, because I was going to say I absolutely don't fit the traditional definition of what masculinity is, but don't think that I'm not masculine at the same time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some definitions there for sure.
Yeah. So how do you break down that? Everything that happened today, what catches your attention the most out of that press conference, or Judge Eileen Cannon saying she, blocking the release of Jack Smith's findings, or I don't even know what to grab onto anymore. It's going to be 4 years of this, my friend.
So what sticks out to me, and what the crux of my show tomorrow is going to be about, is I've been kind of on one lately. I kind of hinted at this earlier in the conversation. since the beginning, I've struggled with the Ukraine war. I've always felt like there was more stuff going on between Russia and Ukraine that we weren't maybe hearing about. And I've been highlighting for my listeners over the course of the last couple months, Ukraine has a whole bunch of raw minerals in that area that are necessary to build semiconductor chips. And I could go in much more detail, but I don't want to drag on about it. The long and short of it is 10 to $12 trillion worth of raw minerals there. I've been predicting since Donald Trump said he would get us out of Ukraine that he would start mining those minerals in America and stop funding Ukraine. Turns out Greenland has all of these minerals that we're talking about. What sticks out to me is the Greenland thing is going to be Trump's get out of Ukraine card. They're never going to pitch it that way because, as far as we all know, the whole Ukraine-Russia thing is about democracy. But I'm a firm believer that the whole Ukraine-Russia thing was about access to these very raw minerals that are also available in Greenland, and that's what this is all going to be about, whether it's via purchase or war. But that's what sticks out to me, and I don't think it's any coincidence that they're pulling this out of thin air.
Wow.
Oh,
well, there you go.
Okay, yeah. It's good information.
Yeah, and it sounds conspiracy theorist, but I'm telling you, do a deep dive in it. Look into the types of minerals that are in Ukraine. I've been researching this for over 2 years, and the timelines, everything, just sync up. You watch what happened here, and I even called. I said that he was going to find a new source. I just assumed it was going to be in America, not literally taking somebody else's land.
Man, so Ben, what's his angle for wanting to acquire Canada? What's the purpose? What's the point?
I wouldn't begin to speculate unless they also have it. I haven't looked into it too much. I also know there's been a ton of talk about available land in some of the colder parts, very uninhabited. Mm-hmm. And we're always talking about we need to build more homes. My thought process was access to acreage in a not necessarily desirable area. That's a complete speculation, though. That's just where my mind went. You know, the show's called Outside the Box. I let my mind go and see where it takes me sometimes.
And outside the country.
That's where that took me. Yeah, exactly. But and the Panama Canal, what the hell is that? It's imperialism at its finest. I have no idea what to expect with a lot of it. Just the Greenland one really stuck out to me, and I was like, oh, son of a gun, they're actually going to do it. If it happens and then they pull out of Ukraine 3 months later, think of me. You'll be like, oh, Ben said that would happen.
You think, sometimes I think that, because Donald Trump is such a petty, vindictive person that in some ways he still wants to avenge Germany for what happened in World War II.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some element of that. I'm not he's most certainly authoritarian and fascist. Whether or not he's going to go full-blown Germany on it, maybe. I think Elon Musk is more of a threat than that than Donald Trump, if I'm being perfectly frank. Mm-hmm. The way he talks online, I think he's much more of a threat in that regard. I think Donald Trump is down to do business with you if you can somehow make him money. If you don't think for a single second he's not in some kind of cahoots with Putin. I still think Putin's a good guy. I just think he has no intention of going beyond Ukraine because he just wants the minerals. He's going to cash out with this Greenland deal. Musk is who you need to watch, endorsing literal Nazi parties in Germany, saying they have to get rid of the government in UK. He is the more terrifying of the two, I think, by a country mile.
Now, since you do deep dives, this came up last week about Elon Musk, David Sachs, Peter Thiel, and there's one more, Paul Ferber, all who were instrumental in the election of Donald Trump, all of whom were shaped in some way or another by apartheid. They were all from South Africa or spent part of their childhoods in South Africa. Peter Thiel, at one point, some of his friends from college said that basically there's a fundamental belief that there is just a general inequality between the races.
And they're white supremacists.
Yeah. Full blown.
Yeah.
So
he built J.D. Vance in a lab.
Yep.
Peter Thiel has his fingerprints all over the Heritage Foundation, which is Project 2025. Mm-hmm. It basically cultivated J.D. Vance's image from the time that he was 22 and a few others. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he has an entire judge circuit. All of these guys that find ridiculous loopholes. I don't know if you saw in North Carolina, they're just straight up not letting a Democratic Supreme Court justice take their seat. There's some kind of archaic law. All of this stuff is connected. And like I said, you sound like I told you this morning, Patty, if you hang out with me, you got to put the tinfoil hat on sometimes, because when you're talking about it, you're like, oh, if you follow the threads here and here, but all of this stuff is connected. Like, there's no way this is all by coincidence.
No. I mean, look, someday we'll have a long conversation about a few of the people that were involved in making sure that Clarence Thomas got on the bench in the first place in the early 1990s, including Mark Paoletta, who's part of the Federalist Society, another, the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, and their long-term goals of shaping the country based on their own vision of who we should be. Because fun. I
always wonder, man, what do those black folks who support all that and advance those aims think about? Because all I'm thinking is they say, whether we like you so much that when the race war starts, we're going to kill you last.
Oh, boy.
Right. No, that's real, though. Like, that's real. Like, no, they won't kill me. I'm one of the good ones. Like, have you seen Vivek Ramaswamy? He was born, and neither one of his parents were legal at the time. He absolutely fits the bill for who the people that, like, support him want to kick out of the country. And, like, what if it happened? You know what I mean? Like, he very much is on the chopping block, and he's just acting like, nah, I'm good because I support it. And you're absolutely right, Dwayne. Like, there's a naivete to it that I don't know. I couldn't begin to speculate what goes into a mindset because I couldn't relate. But I mean, it's there for sure.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY. You can go to WHBY.com to listen to the show. He's also got his podcast available wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple and all. Where do you want folks to find you, Ben?
It's literally anywhere. You can go on the WHBY app. It's on Spotify. Just type in Outside the Box with Ben Cominos. Otherwise, you get like a baseball podcast or something if you just do Outside the Box. It's on Apple Music, all that stuff. And I do want to say before I go, because I didn't say last time, Dwayne, as someone who has been told his entire life he has a great radio voice, I look forward to meeting you someday because that voice is smooth.
That's a smooth voice.
Well, maybe if you can come out, are you in New York on the 17th? Are you in New York on the 17th, or are you back in town? We'll figure it out because Ben is going to be filling in for me on the 16th, and he'll be hanging out the 17th.
Oh,
so maybe I can get you guys together. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying. All right, Ben. Have a great evening, everyone. Check out Outside the Box on WHBY.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna go right to the next call because Auntie Sherry's been hanging on forever. I thought it was gonna be 15 or 20 minutes, and I got sucked into the multi-layers of minerals around the world. Auntie Sherry, you're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy. How are you doing?
Hey, y'all. Hey, oh my God. You guys are my oasis in a freaking desert. Okay. One thing is, Dwayne, where was you at when I was living in Chicago from 2011 to 2020?
Oh, man.
How come I didn't hear any, of your,
He was traveling a lot. He was bouncing between here and New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah. No. Wait a minute. Now, are you from the Midwest or are you from the West Coast?
No, I'm from Chicago. Yeah. I'm from Chicago.
So how come you wasn't there?
Well, because
sweetheart, I'm just West. Auntie Sherry's just messing with you because I get to enjoy, you now on there with Patty. You guys have no idea. You are my lifeline. You and Health Sparks. I mean, I love everybody, and Stephanie Miller, of course. I love everybody else. I got a little, something with Tom Hartman and Joan, but anyway, that's okay. My goodness, didn't somebody on your interview mention something about a black backlash?
Towards Donald or
towards just okay, I'll put it to you this way. I listen to Malcolm Nance.
Yes, he's great.
And on Stephanie Miller's show, and he said something that it's like, okay, this young brother is in tune. When he said, whenever you elect a president by the name of Barack Obama,
right.
There's going to be a huge backlash, and I'm pretty sure that's what's been occurring since then. Which is something that I think most people of color, I'm not saying black, I'm saying people of color, have a little more melanin in their skin, can definitely appreciate. Okay, and this is this is just really weighing on me. My mother died in 2002. She was 92. She was born and raised in the South, moved her family out west. Okay. She lived through, some probably the most extreme and horrific, the supreme and horrific backlash of racism and the fact that she wasn't, literate, but she made it through. And this is the part that really, really, really concerns me. I'm glad, I miss her.
Yeah.
But I am so glad that she doesn't have to live through what is coming up the next possibly 4 to 8 to 16 years.
Right.
We have a white South African president.
Basically, right? Yeah.
And their entire party is going to rape, pillage, and plunder our economy. Mm-hmm. We will probably be left bereft. They're going to do whatever they can to maximize their profits or their riches. Mark Zuckerberg, who I thought he was kind of cool, but no. His little punk, building. He's got an underground, a bunker, because he know that the sugar, honey, iced tea, SHIT is coming.
Yeah.
And he's a punk. And it's like, oh my God, these are young, who I thought, progressive, leaders or, of the next, generation.
Mm-mm.
But they are not.
No.
And
technologically advanced and socially regressive.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I am just kind of
I know.
Dismayed and, depressed, but by the grace of God, with your show and Stephanie and Joan, as much as I can listen to her before she goes on to this rant about where are the Democrats. It's like the Democrats are trying to push through legislation to mitigate whatever onslaught of horror that the Republicans, have for us. And, and this year. And it's like, how can I get this, how do I convey that to her?
Auntie Sherry, I have a question for you, Auntie Sherry. Do you have, are there like organizations, like Democratic organizations or community organizations that you can join that maybe, you'd find kindred spirits?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good.
Dems here in Nevada, which is a totally red,
I believe
red state. But yeah, I do, and my family and some of the people I encounter on public transportation. But unfortunately, that's fleeting and not sustaining, and that's why I listen to you and Stephanie and Tom Hartman, and is it Randy Rhodes?
Yeah, she's great,
is that
too.
her name?
Yeah.
And Hal Sparks, who is my absolutely favorite. He's my little brother from another mother. I love him. I absolutely love him. But I just want to, thank you for letting me, come on and commiserate and,
of course.
B and M, I can't say the B word, and moan.
You can say bitch and moan. I'll take it. You can't. I will.
Okay.
We got to put it somewhere.
Right.
I did, yeah. Like I said, I am so glad that my mother didn't have to live through another era of racism and backlash, and it's just, I'm sure you thought your parents and your forefathers and their forefathers and Dwayne's parents and their forefathers, okay, they fought a great fight, and hopefully this has kind of minimized, some of what we have to endure in the future. But it's totally all revved up again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which means that unfortunately it's always been there.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's the hard part. Is that even when we've gotten this guy out in 4 years or 8 years, like you said, whatever it takes. Now we know how deeply rooted the intolerance is and the lack of empathy from a lot of people.
Right.
And it's going to be really hard for me to trust people. I would,
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I listen to all these people. They've been brainwashed. Nonsense. It is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a choice. You either believe it or you don't. You embrace it and you propagate it, or you don't. It is a choice. And some people just decide, okay, well, I just want to make sure that my groceries just, aren't as expensive under, Trump than it was with Biden. Give me a break.
Right. That was the excuse.
Exactly. So it is a conscious choice.
Mm-hmm.
A conscious choice, and it has nothing to do with intellect or whatever. It is whatever you choose to hang on to, whatever you think is going to get you through.
Right.
Love you guys so much.
Auntie Sherry.
We love you too.
Be well, my friend.
You too, sweetheart.
Talk to you soon.
And Dwayne, where you at when I was in Chicago?
Well, the good news is we've got him now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care, Auntie Sherry.
Okay.
Let's put all my breaks together here, and we'll be right back after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, as we broadcast here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And we're so thrilled that you're here. By the way, I want to remind folks, if you can't hear us, or we're starting to get a little, we start getting a little bit, tough to hear when the sun goes down. So you can listen to us on the TuneIn app. You can watch us on YouTube, just to name a few. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the wonderful comedian Dwayne Kennedy joining me in studio. Emmy Award-winning Dwayne Kennedy for his work on The United Shades of America with Kamau Bell, as well as he worked with Kamau on Totally Biased on FX, and they'll be touring together in April. Starting in March, right?
In February.
February
6th.
We're going to lose you for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, but no,
you'll be on weekdays.
Going and back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Dwayne will be touring with Kamau. They'll be at the Den Theater on Milwaukee Avenue on April 25th and 26th. But this weekend, you can catch them in Kenosha at the Kenosha Comedy Club. Boom. We were talking off there a little bit about wealth inequality. We were talking a little bit about because why does that keep going off? Stop. Auntie Sherry mentioned, these guys being in charge and having Elon Musk, amongst others, pillaging our government and our economy. And I mentioned 4 grocery stores. I think it's 4 that own all the grocery stores. I mean, like most of the majority. Like, It's been very hard for mom and pop stores to continue. I mean, Walmart now carries a lot of grocery items. Target does.
Right. Amazon.
And 10% of the wealthiest people in this country own 2/3 of all of our wealth. How much more do they want? And
everything.
Dwayne says
want everything.
They want everything. So I was telling Dwayne that I've never been. I can't explain it. Like, there are people. What I mean by I've never been very ambitious in the sense there are people who are singularly focused on earning money. Like it is their drive. It's what they get up for. It's what they see. They see all the corners. Like Steve and I have a friend, and I use the term friend lightly, but essentially was always about being an investment and wanting to make a lot of money and always having a nice car. And his sister, who was kind of more like me and like doing the things that she enjoyed or wanted to do to help people, and she started a speech therapy company before the pandemic that was like telehealth, like you could help people wherever, and like essentially created this business that became really sought after for a lot of money. And he essentially destroyed the deal because he didn't think what they were offering was enough. Destroyed his relationship with his sister, with his parents, because all he saw were dollar signs.
No, somebody wanted to buy her out or buy the business?
Yeah, and she had brought him in to help her run the business end of things.
And he asked for too much, and then he walked away.
He wouldn't take the deal,
So his greed cost him everything.
Everything.
Wow.
And so I guess that's what I mean. Like, and he's one example of like how some people are who get to that point of, again, you don't earn $1 billion. You take it. The amount of money in this country that is basically just scooped out of our lives by wage theft, by people who game the system, whether it's by passive income on offshore, invest all their money being somewhere we can't tax it. The fact that at one point in this country we were able to tax the wealthiest in order to support what whether it was national defense, our roads, our health care, but no, they want everything. So I was telling Dwayne that I was always working since the age of 14, and I had 40 different jobs. I remember when I started doing comedy.
Yeah,
I was writing down descriptions of every single job, and I was like, well, this is a boring show. But I didn't care. I mean, I would just leave. If I didn't like a job, I would just leave in the middle of it. And there used to be a company called Far More. If folks remember this, there was one up here on Niles Center Road and Toohey up in like Skokie, that Niles Skokie kind of like Chicago, Niles Skokie or all sort of intersect there. And I was being trained as a cashier, and I'm left-handed, so this is before scanning, right? You had to pick up the item and type in the number of what the price was, right? And then, but I'm left-handed, so I would type with my left hand. I needed to push the numbers with my left hand. This woman was training me. She was standing inside that little space that the cashier has, and she kept thinking I was going to hit the wrong number, so she would slap my hand.
Whoa!
Yep. And I said, "Where's the bathroom?" And I just walked out of the store.
Okay, well then, I get it.
I took a long break.
Yeah, corporal punishment at Farmore. Oh man.
The one joke I did write about how many jobs I had was that I used to quit in the middle of my job and not show up again, and I said now I'm afraid to go into some restaurants because I'm pretty sure I still work there.
Ah, that's funny.
I think that was one of my favorite jokes.
Good one.
That was one of my first ones. Yeah.
Yeah. You're the busiest, non-ambitious person I ever met.
I like doing the things that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've broken the headphones. That's why I'm looking at you strangely. There we go. I guess I keep working. I do the things that I like, and I rest really hard. People always wonder like how I do everything. Mm-hmm. When I rest, I'm out. Like I don't when I sleep or I hang out with my husband and Declan or that's it. That's all I do.
Yeah. You've exhausted yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Let me get to Al in Franklin Park. Al, did I hear yesterday? Was it your birthday yesterday?
No, that's not correct.
Who called the Jones show? It was somebody's birthday yesterday. I felt bad for them. I can't remember now who the caller was. Hi, Al. You're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy.
Hi, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I haven't called in a while. I'm just trying to keep a positive attitude about all this because, there's more of us than there are of them. And we see that all over the place, and a lot of people are very distraught and not doing enough and not getting out enough, and the only way we're going to win against them is if we all, come together in a grassroots movement and build it from the bottom up. Their whole media infrastructure is trickle down media, and it's all AstroTurf. And they have so much money behind them.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was going to say. It's just crazy, and we got to realize that we have Russia involved in our media, and even if Elon Musk hadn't bought in Twitter, that might have been enough to win. I've always said that we have to win big because of all the chicanery that these guys do, and all the things that you've been talking about, all go into why we lost this election because of the things they do, and it's just crazy, right now. And
I agree with you. I had said that before that our win in 2024 needed to be a thunderous victory, and that was why I worked so hard. I wanted to be thunderous, and a lot of people I think had that mindset. It is hard to, and I think that's part of what Auntie Sherry and other folks have expressed about the sort of circular firing squad that we talk about sometimes. Like, where are the Democrats and why aren't they doing that? And I have that. I actually expressed a little of that on Ben's show today. I also think that we do have to make sure that because there was chicanery, the deck is stacked against us. When you say that, when we talk about how the top 10%, the wealthiest people in this country own 2/3 of our wealth, part of maybe people, we talk about the racism, the misogyny. It's also I don't have the space for this. I don't want to follow this. I don't want to listen to this. I'm trying to stay in my house. I'm in debt for medical bills. I'm trying to get my kids to school. It's like all the other pressures and things like that. So the people who do have the bandwidth, that do want to keep showing up, have to keep encouraging those folks who can't give up. So I'm also encouraging myself to keep my chin up.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Al, for reminding me.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's just crazy because we have so much great media out there. And it's all over the place, but people don't see that media because, they have the megaphone. Yep. And somehow we got to get that away from it. And you remember me calling in a month or two ago talking about terrestrial TV and how that's a real playground right now as well right now. And so it's just all these things and social media. We're talking about that and how we have even the rich people like Facebook capitulating. Is that the word? I think I got it right.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, and yes, it is hard to understand these people, but they're all narcissists. Yeah. They're all narcissists, and so they want both money and power, and they don't seem to care about anybody else, and that's what's so mind blowing. What do you want to leave this earth with? Just a lot of money?
Right.
Yeah, narcissists and unprincipled, unethical weasels.
Yeah, that's another way of putting it.
Exactly.
Just many ways you can put this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was what I had, and you can go on about many different things as well. And I'll call back in.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Always good to hear from you, Al.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll be talking to you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let me take a quick break here. We're going to take our last caller because I know they called in yesterday and gave up on us. So we'll get back to our call when we come back with Dwayne Kennedy in studio. Hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Tuning in here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we head into the home stretch of Driving It Home with me, Patti Vasquez, joined in studio by Emmy Award-winning Dwayne Kennedy, who is at the Kenosha Comedy Club this weekend. And I know that Dave from Hoffman Estates called in yesterday and gave up on us, so you're on right now. How you doing, Dave?
Well, yeah, I'm fine. I stopped. I was a little bit of an interloper interrupting you. So.
No worries.
But,
it was a mental health Monday, so it was kind of hard because I wasn't taking calls. My apologies.
It was like wealthy and all that, and that kind of ties in with. Did you guys hear the story the other day where that Diddy or P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him, where this lawyer had said that he's so wealthy, he's so rich, he should be at home. He shouldn't be in jail.
Oh, boy. Of course. Yeah. Yeah, that's a cause for being released.
Right.
Yeah, and that he could afford his own guards. Like, okay, yeah, right. He's gonna.
Well, everybody's trying to adopt that Trump model.
Yeah, exactly. What was that? There was some malaise. There was a defense used by this. It was a rich kid. What was it? Affluenza.
Yeah.
Yes. Like they don't understand that all the rules or
right.
Yeah, they don't function in society the same way as everybody else does.
Right. And
so
he won.
Yeah.
He won with that defense.
And you guys were mentioning about that Parnas's son. Did you guys ever read that book by his dad, Lev Parnas? What an excellent book.
No, I haven't read it. But I do recommend following. Huh?
When I see it, but remember when they first got snagged for being that they were going to spy for Rudy or whatever, and then Rudy threw him under the bus and they got jailed. Well, when you first seen him in that Igor, you look at like, boy, these are a couple of Keystone, buffoons. But the man is very, very sharp, and then Trump trying to say, I don't even know the guy. And Lev said, well, if he wants, I can pull out a picture a day if you want. He had pictures with Trump all the time. And
that's funny.
He had the goods. He got it real good with a lot of people. He was kind of like a very easy guy to get along with, And he said he was a lot like Trump. They came kind of from the same area, like the scheming and all that kind of stuff, And,
hey, it takes one to know one. Birds of a feather and all the other things. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks, Dave.
Right, listen, thanks.
Take care.
Have a good one, guys.
Good to hear from you. Thank you,
too.
Dave. And Roosevelt calling in under the wire. What's on your mind, Roosevelt?
Hey, real quick, I want to see what you guys think of this. Do you think these knuckleheads will turn people in since they control the media, basically the rules? I mean, look, all the big shots, the guys that got the money, they're all kissing up to Trump. So for extra points, do you think these guys will become spies for Trump in case anybody criticizes them?
Yeah,
he ain't going to let that go.
I think about it sometimes when I was doing this filter to make Trump sound like a toddler. I was like, at what point are people going to be like, oh, you can't make fun of the president? Like, where do we have that tipping point of that?
I think it's headed that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, I was thinking, man, I'm going to delete every post I ever made about Trump.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, Wayne.
Yeah.
And here's another one, guys. The lady that spoke earlier, when she was saying things about Trump, that he's got to have this, got to have that, She was describing a child.
Yeah.
An 8-year-old, a 7-year-old.
A 2-year-old.
Yep. That's why I want to use a toddler voice.
Right.
Until the guys with the black boots show up.
I think I was thinking that when we had the presidential limo, somebody should slap that baby on board sticker.
How have we not had a meme of that yet? Thanks, Roosevelt. Huh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Yeah, I you know what? I want to put those fears in the corner. I'm going to delete my Twitter account. I think I'm going to wait till the Malcolm Nance said. I think Malcolm Nance. Somebody said to do it on Inauguration Day.
Oh, right.
And then you are filling in for me the last 3 days of January.
Yes.
I will be in Los Angeles. I'm going to help. Todd Belcourt has a film festival. His International Film Festival, The Social Change, is that weekend. So I will be there helping him set up and moderating with him. And that'd
be cool.
That's going to be very fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to New Orleans for Inauguration Day. I believe I'll be in the air during the inauguration. I just figure I can't.
Okay.
There's nothing I can do.
You'll be in the air. I'll be under the bed.
Do you remember the last one was really the young woman who did the poetry? Do you remember? She was fantastic. Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah. What was her? I remember her book. Her poetry was banned in Florida.
I want to say Amanda Seals, but I don't know if that's right.
Man, she was fantastic. God, it was Gorman. Amanda Gorman?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She was so good. She was so, can you imagine? Because that was 4 years. She was 22 when she did that.
Wow.
Just amazing.
What's she doing now?
Right? Let me see. Let's see if I can find some news on Amanda. She reflects on 4 years since her poem, her inaugural poem. She has a new book, which is a tribute to women's impact and resilience. So she has a new book out.
Okay.
So there you go. Let's see what the name of the book is. But Girls on the Rise is her latest book. God,
she won't be speaking at Trump's inauguration?
No, I don't believe. Oh, I'll wait to go. Sorry, Lady B. I love you. Randy Rhodes is up next. Dwayne is at the Kenosha Comedy Club. Stay tuned all night. Listen to Mac McNeil, too. And Rick Smith's on later. And I love you all. Bye.